I'm Benji, relationship coach. We're going to talk today about how you can make friends as an adult. And we're not talking about just any friends. We're talking about the friendships that bring you to life, that are going to go far beyond just simply belonging, just simply having people to do something with on a Friday night. So let's go there. Making friends as an adult is not the same as making friends as a teen or in our 20s. We use the same word, friend or friendship, but it doesn't mean the same thing. By the time we're 30, by the time we're 40, we've had really rich friendships at some point. We've been met, we know what it's like, and we know what it's like to not have it. We know what it's like when we're not being met in that friendship, in that type of connection that we're wanting. And we long for it. And so if that's where you are, that's okay. First of all, it's okay to be lonely. It's okay to be single. It's okay to just move. And we have to be gentle with ourselves. And if it's a Friday night and you're alone and you're not enjoying being alone, that's totally fine. We start with where we are. But the question is, how do we build these friendships? How do we create a life in which we're surrounded by people we want to be around? People that help us grow, help us learn. And those are the types of friendships we're talking about. So think of Maslow's hierarchy that starts off with the physical needs at the very bottom, the safety and security needs, and then the emotional needs and self-esteem needs. We get a lot of that met in our teens. Like, we are seeking for the approval of our peers. We're looking to fit in. And there's this social upheaval in our lives when we're going through that as teens, right? But then we get in our 20s and 30s, and we're not in that place anymore. We've done some personal development work. We've grown. And now we're the type of person that's looking for self-actualization. We're looking for self-esteem, that sense of respect, that sense of growing and learning together, becoming a different person, becoming all that we are, being seen for who we are. And that's what we're looking for in friendships. And if we don't get that, we're not happy. We're not happy with the conventional friendships that are just focused on belonging, that are just focused on that sense of approval of our peers. And so if you're lonely as an adult, maybe you're lonely in your friendships, where you have friends from high school or college and it just doesn't feel the same anymore. You're restless because you're looking for that self-actualization. You're looking for something more than that. So the peak of Maslow's hierarchy was called self-transcendence, that place of not even actualizing where we become all we are, but we become past who we are. We use our relationships at some point, our friendships, to develop into the spiritual part of ourselves, to become all that we are, which includes the transpersonal, the spirit. And we can have friendships that meet us there as well. So as a relationship coach, I would say, don't ask for the basics. Ask for what will bring you fully to life. Where can I find satisfying connection? Where can I find openness and transparency? Where can I find people to challenge and to help me grow? Where can I find peers that I actually want to spend time with? Those are better questions than how can I find friends as an adult? So we're going to talk a little bit about conventional approaches to finding friends and why they don't always work, why they're not satisfying. And then we will talk about how you can find friends in the community you are in, no matter where you are. And finally, we'll talk about why the solutions that will work for you may be things you've never heard of, or might be things that you haven't tried before. So encouraging you to open your mind as to what it might look like to get that need met that you're calling a need for friendship. So let's talk a little bit about what doesn't work and why. So you've just moved, or maybe you've gotten brave, you're an introvert and you're going to go out and meet people in the city where you live, and it just doesn't work. So let's talk about why. So maybe you went to a local meetup that meets at a bar, and you networked, you met some people, had some decent conversations, and then yet a month or two later, you're still going back to that bar to hang out, or maybe the people you met there just aren't, it's not deepening, right? And so on the one hand, you become like the places that you hang out. So if you're hanging out at bars, you will pick up on that lonely, heavy atmosphere that is the characteristic of any social situation where there's a lot of alcohol. Alcohol is a lonely drug. And maybe you go to happy hour with your coworkers and have some good conversations. You start making friends there, and yet something doesn't feel right. And there's this little part of you that knows that it won't work, because at some point your coworker may end up as your boss, judging you and evaluating your performance. And then there's the workplace gossip that comes from that. So the work colleagues are often not in a place to be our friends. And then maybe you join a local community group. your professional organization that meets once a month. Maybe you join your local church or temple or synagogue, and you go there and you have lots of conversations, and yet none of these people are quite meeting you in the depth you are capable of. Other people find themselves in lots of internet conversations, whether on Discord or on Reddit or Facebook. Each of us has our favorite social media or favorite platform we go to for conversations or fan fiction. And yet, those friendships actually can be quite deep, and yet it's almost impossible to scratch the itch because a lot of these people are very introverted and they don't want to go out more than once or twice a year to see you. And that's not the type of friendship that scratches the itch either. So how do we get this need met? So there's all these reasons, all these things we try. We go to different groups, we go hang out with people, we meet up with friends of friends. Sometimes we have blind friend dates. And yet, after all of it, the Friday night comes or the Saturday night comes, and we still don't know who we can call. There's still no one we want to hang out with. And that's what we're talking about in this video. How do we create this sense of depth, that sense of connection, and the soul-satisfying friendships? As a relationship coach, my hope for you is that you can get past all these conventional ways of meeting people and to try some things that might be new to you, to try some things that you may have never heard of, because there's other ways of relating, other ways of being with people that can go really deep and that can scratch the itch, and that's where we're going next. So how do you find it? How do you get to those friendships on Maslow's hierarchy that are self-transcendent, self-actualization, the ones that really scratch the itch and have you feeling amazing? And the good news is that probably in your community, especially if you live in a city, there are likely to be groups already doing this. Everything from ecstatic dance to authentic relating groups to circling groups to meetups and cuddle clubs dedicated to connection. They are popping up all over the world. And even if it's not called that, there's probably things you haven't tried. There is very likely to be somebody in your community already organizing this. And if there's not, reach out to me. I'm glad to give you coaching or whatever you need to help build it locally for yourself as well. But these groups have a few things in common. One, these are often groups where they train people in communication skills, where they train people in conflict resolution, so that there's the capacity for people to really bring themselves fully and to set boundaries. But because there's this training in how to say yes, how to say no, how to really express, you find that there is an aliveness in these groups that's really different than a conventional group at somebody's church or a community Lions Club group or something you could find in a Reddit forum. Like there's a different type of communication, and that's the first point. And the second thing is these are groups that tend to meet really regularly, where you can put it on your calendar and drop in and know that there's the ecstatic dance every Friday night or authentic NCs, authentic relating every Sunday evening. And so these busy people, these top level people in your community just show up. The people you're looking to hang out with, the psychotherapists and the professionals and the IT people who have college degrees and are fairly well versed, they will show up at these events because they don't have to think about it. This will be their one outing every week where they go to do their development. And that's where you can find some of these people. The other reason you might want to do these groups is they're fairly sizable communities, and there's a type of fast friending or speed dating that you can indirectly do here where, for example, in authentic relating, these are facilitated exercises that are intended to help people connect more, to help people be transparent, to express themselves. So you'll find yourself with somebody, you'll be expressing yourself, who you really are, and letting the person you're with see you in that. And then they are sharing the same thing. They're sharing who they are. They're being vulnerable, and it's intimate. And from that, you can really tell who is a good match, where the chemistry is, and you can develop it and begin to develop the friendships even further. But within 5 minutes in these authentic relating workshops, you will have this sense of who you're with and where the potentials are. And this is something you don't get in community groups, for example, or professional groups where the intention is more along the lines of fitting in or learning together versus growing and simply opening and connecting. So there's a specialty of these groups that really helps you connect more deeply. Because of all this, the reliability, the focus on communication skills, the presence of high-level people who've been growing and learning and focusing on their relationships, you get this awe-inspiring quality to these groups that is life-changing if you can find one. And that's how you can make friends as an adult, as you look for these adult relationships that are focused on self-actualization, on self-transcendence, on becoming all that you can be in your relationships, in addition to getting whatever your basic needs are met, and beyond simply meeting your interests. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a rural area or a city, there's always a certain percentage of the population that's looking for that. And in rural areas, they're often introverts, they're often at home, and it can be a little tricky to find them, but even there are ways of finding it. Sometimes the local craft shop or the art store, there's always a place in your area that will be connected to these events. Sometimes it's the food co-op. And so if you reach out, you will find these groups. But let's say you're having trouble with it. You're totally welcome to reach out to me and post your comments in the chat. And I hope you'll also consider joining one of our authentic relating immersions. We have them more or less every few months in the Raleigh-Durham area. It's an easy flight in, and you spend 2 or 3 days totally basking in connection with each other. And the last thing I'll say, sometimes you have to become a different person to find what you're wanting. Sometimes the type of friend we're looking for is not who we are yet. And so if you want to have top-level friends, you have to become a top-level person or try to hang out with them more. So encouraging you as well to really challenge yourself to grow, to look up what it means to do authentic relating. Look up books and articles on authentic relating, the principles of connection, of openness. Look up Tantra, look up consent communication, all these different pieces of it. And you might discover that you have some gaps in who you are as well, that's pushing away and keeping hidden the people that you seek to draw into your life. I know I personally used to be very socially anxious and awkward, and I thought for a long time that the people I wanted just were not there, that everybody around me was conventional. And when I came across authentic relating, initially I was not a fit for it. I was not authentic. I discovered how much I was holding back, how much I was repressing, and I had to learn to open up in order to fit into these groups that have really made my life amazing. And so that's some of my story, and I'll share more of it as time goes on. But I will say, just after 12 years of authentic relating, after 12 years of being part of these groups, I finally feel that I have this sense of richness. And on a given day, I may or may not have my emotional needs met or friendships met, but I do have this sense of community, this sense of self-actualization, that there's people in my life supporting who I want to be. There's people in my life supporting me being seen and feeling complete as a human being, and supporting me to transcend myself, these spiritual friendships. And I feel really grateful and blessed in that. And I want that for you as well. So if this is your life, if you're looking for how to make friends as an adult, encouraging you to ask these deeper questions so you can find what you're really looking for. So I'm Benji, relationship coach. Make sure you like my video down below and subscribe to my channel. And thank you for watching. I'll be releasing more videos soon. Check out our community calendar if you're interested in one of our retreats. Thank you.